Gaurav, let's get started.
All right, let's get started. Hello, everyone. Good evening and welcome to today's session. My name is Gaurav and I'm your host for the day. Hope you all are having a great day. So I would like to introduce about the topic today's, which is driving revenue growth for telecom sector, innovative geospatial use cases. We are honored to have with us today's prominent industry leaders from across the globe. We thank all of you for your time and presence here today. Take this session, I would like to introduce Mr. Shamint Trivedi. Hi, Shamint.
Hello.
So Mr. Shamint is AVP for Network Access, a product of Lepton software with more than 28 years of experience in IT and telecom industry. He has held a variety of senior positions spanning sales, business development, delivery, and account management functions with deep insights into the telecom and utility industries. Please note that this webinar is a recorded session and will be later on available for your perusals. So we would love to interact with you and take up all your questions at the end of the presentation. Also to those of you just joining us, we are warm welcome. Now I would like to Mr. Sumit to kindly take over. Over to you, Sumit.
Thank you. Thank you, Gaurav. And good afternoon, good evening, and good morning, each one of you. Thank you for joining this session. And based on different geographies, different time zone, you have been joining. Thank you for that. So today, as Gaurav suggested, that we are going to be talking about important as well as interesting topic about driving revenue growth for telecom sector. Last couple of years have been, I would say, nothing short of a roller coaster ride for the telecom industry in general, for all, but particularly telecom industry is the one who has been vitally impacted and has seen a great different kind of turbulent times in last 2 years. It has seen a variety of challenges as well as the growth opportunities in last couple of years, particularly given the COVID scenario that we have all faced. Challenges with respect to increased demands from the consumers and the industries, all the industries moving towards the digitalization, and telecom being the foundational and the rockstone of all the digitalization, right? It has seen a great amount of pressure coming in, and at the same time it has also been presented with a great deal of growth opportunities. And how different types of technologies have been an enabler for this growth, and one of them have been geospatial technology. So that is going to be the agenda for today, that how the geospatial technology has proved to be an enabler to drive the revenue growth for telecom sectors. That is what we are going to talk in next 30 minutes, and probably will spare some time for questions and answers. As I speak, as I walk you through some of the slides, please feel free to keep on punching your questions in the message box, and we'll take them all towards the end of the session. I hope you can all hear me well and you can see the slides that I have put on the screen. Gaurav, you can confirm me that?
Yes, guys, it's visible now.
Okay, thank you very much. So basically, we talked about the technologies that have been an enabler for driving the telecom growth and driving the revenues. So one of them have been the location and the geospatial technologies, right? And when we typically talk about the geospatial and the location data, immediately something that comes to our mind is being able to answer the where part of the whole ecosystem, where my network is, where my crew is, where my customers are. So of course, while these are one of the most important questions that typically the geospatial solutions and the industry have tried to answer in last few years or even the decades, but aided with the technological advances, right, this with the right kind of solution, this has not only answered the question about the where, but it has also helped the industry in answer the question about what, how, when, right, and why. Why should I plan my network in a particular area, right? How should I serve my customer in the best possible manner? What is the best way to what is the best way to expand my network or to plan my new network, right? Or at what point of time my network capacity probably will max out. So all those kind of questions which are beyond where, all those kind of questions, this geospatial technology with the right kind of telecoms solution has helped us answer for all our telecom customers, right? So those are the some of the key use cases around those we'll pick up today, and we'll talk about that. Hopefully we'll find this session useful, and once again keep punching in the questions. And before we get into those use cases, talking the nitty gritty, just a minute about what Lepton is, and how we help our telecom customers precisely in around this topic that we are discussing today, that is driving the revenue growth for our customers. Just briefly talking about Lepton, we are more than a quarter century old company and a leader in location intelligence and analytics. That credential itself, that itself is kind of enough to give a credibility to Lepton in terms of the technological solution, in terms of the leadership that we have been maintaining, and in terms of the partnership that we have with our customers across the globe. While we do serve many industries with the geospatial solution, telecom happens to be one of the most most critical industry that with our solutions, with our systems, with our services that we enable we enable our partners in telecom industry achieve their growth. We are more than 300 plus product specialists, data specialists, domain as well as technology specialists, and we do serve more than 150 plus customers across the globe, which is another testimony of of our credibility and the kind of solution that we have. Now let us speak broadly about what a network life cycle is, what are the broad level of phases it goes through, and the kind of questions that typically the ISPs and telecom service providers are posed with, and what is the best way to answer those questions. And then out of that, we'll pick up some of the key use cases and start talking about those. So as you see, the life cycle wheel that I have presented on the screen, it starts typically with the market analysis, which is about doing the demand potential, which are the areas which are growing most, what is the area where should I be planning my network, right? And once you have done that, typically you move into the planning and design phase. There the question that you are asked is, what is the best way to plan my network? What is the most efficient way, right? How can I reduce my cost? Those are the questions that you are asked in plan and design phase. And once you have done the planning and you move to build phase, the biggest challenge is that how to track the build progress, right? What your build teams are doing, and are they really going as per the plan that you have, right? The plan that you have given to them, are they going as per that plan? How many deviations they are taking, what they are building, right? Keeping track on day-to-day basis, that's another question that you are asked with, right? And then once you have built the network, you move into the operational phases. You want to have the most optimum operations running into the system day in and day out, right? Where your tickets are handled in a most efficient manner. Your key KPIs like MTTR, etc., are kept to the best possible level, right? How do you resolve the issues? So those are the things you want to address. And once you have the network in place, obviously you want to monetize it. You want to qualify the leads very efficiently, very accurately in the field, and you want to monetize the network to the maximum level. And once that is done, obviously the continuous process is to optimize it, to be able to take the strategic decision, make continuous improvements about the network, right? So these are the typically the questions that you are asked in each of the phases of the project, and you want a solution that can help you effectively answer those questions, implement a system that can that can help you in resolving the challenges that you face in each of the challenges, in each of the areas, not only resolve today but which can keep scaling up to as as you expand your networks. So what we are going to do is we are going to pick up some selective use cases in each of these and briefly touch upon, what are your goals, what are the challenges you face, and how a Lepton solution will help you navigate through the complexities of each one of those. So what we have done is we have picked up some of the key or the most critical aspects of the whole life cycle, picked up some use cases which we will touch upon today. Otherwise, if you actually look at each one of them, like managing assets, network planning, network operations, each one of them probably, if you start drilling down, is a very deserving of a 30-minute slot in itself. But because it's an overview kind of session, we'll touch upon each one of them at a superficial level to give you an enough idea about what the challenge is, what the goals are, and how we can help you meet them. So that's one. And of course, in subsequent webinars, hopefully we will be speaking about each one of them individually in a lot more detail. So let us start with managing the assets. I think when we say managing assets, probably it's like particularly for a telecom industry, it is like trying to seal the whole ocean into a bottle, right? And we all know that telecom is a very asset heavy or asset critical industry, with the network being a physical asset, which is precious in the terms that it costs a lot to plan, to build, to manage, to monetize it. That means it's a precious asset, and it needs to be dealt very carefully, and you need the best of the breed solution to manage that assets. And of course, you want to have, your goal is to have a good view, accurate view of how the assets are deployed in the field. You want to have your network planners, your build teams, your field engineers, the most up to date view of those networks. You want to give out the details of how they are spliced, how they are connected, right? If they go to the field, they should be able to accurately match the network so that they are able to do the job in the most optimum manner, right? So basically, the solution that for all this that we have is network access smart inventory. While the agenda of this webinar is not to be going into great details of the solution, but at least we want to be able to give you an overview, to give you a good idea how those problems can be addressed. So network access smart inventory basically is a system that will help you manage your assets. It will help you map your entire telecom network, particularly fiber as well as wireless network, as per the real life. And when you talk about modeling the network, you talk about basically modeling all aspects of it. You talk about outside plant like civil infrastructures, ducts, micro ducts. You talk about inside plant. You talk about managing the floor plans. So each aspect of the network as it exists in the real life, you are able to manage that network. You are able to model that network. You are able to integrate that across the IT systems so that you build a unified and an accurate view of your network, which you can give to your all the stakeholders in the organization, which you can extend to your planners to do the planning in the best possible manner, to your build teams, to your field teams, so they have the accurate view. So that's the solution that we have got. Of course, in the subsequent webinars, we'll get into the demos, etc. But it's just to give you an idea that there is a solution that many of our customers are using, and we have the testimony that by using those, how various aspects like utilization of the assets, planning of the assets, that has been increased by multiple times, right? And the impact is that it is able to improve the customer complaints time, improve the utilization, improve planning time. All aspects of the network are touched upon by managing the assets accurately. And this is something that hits the revenue growth in a very, very direct manner. Now, once you have the assets, right, you have modeled the assets, you have got a right platform to manage the assets. Obviously, the next step, very next step, is to improve your planning process, right? You have today a planning process which works in many legacy manners. So yeah, I hope you can see the network planning related use case. So you have a planning process which in a legacy mode, it relies on various types of surveys. It relies on the information that exists in different shapes and forms. Many of them become out of date. It relies in hundreds of CAD files, map info files, Excel files, those kind of things, right? So you need a system where you do the network planning in an optimum manner. So what we saw, that if you are able to manage the asset, it gives you a unified platform. Now you need answers to the questions of network planning, and there are hundreds of them. Like, what is the best way to plan the network? What is the best route to plan the network? Should you go the shortest route, or should you take an alternate route? Which is the most cost effective route? While it is possible that shortest route may be something else, but it has a very high ROW cost. While there is a workaround available, which is probably longer, but the ROW cost is less, right? There could be another option where a lot of existing infrastructure can be reused. And then there can be another option where, where a shared infrastructure is there, or you can cover future capacity. So there are so many angles, so many perspectives of complexity that you are dealt with when you are planning, that you definitely need a very good system which can help you with these kind of plannings, right? And on top of that, if you look at the complexity and the scale of the planning that you are doing nowadays, like nowadays, a new locality you have to plan. You can be planning, let's say, thousands of home passes, right? And if you take the legacy way, you might just land up taking weeks doing that planning. You want a system who can give the plan in the matter of minutes, right, to you, and in the most optimum manner. So for answering all these questions, basically we have got a solution as part of our network access, which is called Smart Planner. Smart Planner is an automatic planner which works on the basic data inputs that you give. You give some of the home passes, you give the area which you want to cover, you give your pop locations, and based on a variety of algorithms, based on a lot of AI related things, it is able to draw out, plan a design, and give it to you. You have the option to tweak and refine that plan, give out those low level designs to your field teams who can take it to the field and start building it. So the impact of this is that the whole planning can be, it can be reduced up to 80%. The accuracy can be improved. And as you know, all of you from the telecom industry who are joining directly from the ISPs and the telcos background, we know that planning is the process on which entire rest of the process chain relies. And even 10 to 15% of optimization in the planning can give you very significant cost benefits, advantages in the build, in optimization towards the inventory that you have to you have to deploy in the field, and also with respect to managing, how do you manage that? So that is very vital. And that's how, network planner comes into the picture, and directly or indirectly it gives you a very significant improvements and advantages towards the revenue growth. Once you have done the network planning, right, the next stage you want to go is managing the build, managing the, capturing the assets from the field, capturing the updates day in and day out that are happening. You want to address that part of that part of the process. So many times I'm sure you are also experiencing it. So many times it happens that your field engineers go to the field to deploy, or to deploy a network element, or to provision a customer. You find that they go with a plan, and they find that, the network element, or the splitter, or the fat box that they were expecting at that location simply does not exist there. It exists almost around 200 meters, right? Or the plan that has been given to build the network, it is just not feasible because of a blockage. Or the customer that you want to provision via a splitter, it does not have a free port. Why these kind of situations arise? These arise because the GIS system and the actual network in the field, they have become out of sync over time. And I would say this is one problem statement which the GIS systems and the telcos have been facing ever since they have deployed the systems. Almost right from the day one you deploy the system, next day onwards, it simply, starts going out of sync. Why? Because of a lack of a user-friendly and a strong mechanism to capture the changes, to capture the updates from the field. That's a single reason for that. If you have a good application, good mobile app, good device to keep capturing the updates which you can give to your field teams, that is the way to actually answer these, right? And once again, as part of Lepton's network access product suite, it has an integrated mobile app which greatly enhances, which greatly enables you, your field teams, your build teams, to keep capturing the changes in the real time as they happen, as they go there. They find a diversion, they do some job, they want to update the status. Almost every use case, every action that they can take in the field, they have a very convenient tool to capture that and synchronize it. So basically, field engineers are able to collect the data faster. It improves the accuracy. It improves the accuracy of your planners. It improves the accuracy of your customer care personals, right? It improves the accuracy of your build teams. So entire organizational accuracy it will improve if you are able to capture the assets accurately and keep your system synchronized. So once you have addressed this, the next part of the question, the next piece of the puzzle that you want to answer is to optimize the operations. You have managed the assets, you have the planning done, you have the build and the update process done. Then comes to optimize the operations. That's the next piece you want to address. And when you talk about operations, that also once again is like, talk the entire domain, trying to capture the domain, the all those things in 2 minutes. And there are so many aspects of operations, as you all know, that there are gamut of systems and processes that work together to make sure that a ticket that is raised by the customer or an alarm that is raised from the network, right from the detection to the resolution, the whole process can be optimized. There are a lot of systems work together. And the GIS system or the geospatial system that acts as the orchestrator, which actually enables the entire process to keep your operations optimized. A very simple and clear goal can be the fiber cut, which has been the nemesis of this fiber networks and telcos across the globe, to detect the fiber cut and to fix the fiber cut, right? The study has shown that 70% of the time of fixing a fiber cut is taken in accurately identifying the fiber cut location, and 30% of the time is taken to actually fix that problem. So there, the GIS based system comes very handy when it integrates with your OTDR system, because OTDR system gives just the optical distances, right? So it integrates with that. It brings in the geospatial aspect to it, the accurate location of it. It can tell the nearby locations, the nearby manholes. It gives the precise navigation route to your field engineer, so that he can navigate to the exact location and fix it quickly. So I think that actually comes as a greatly handy tool. And there are various testimonies from our customers which actually prove that this integration of GIS system and OTDR based RFMS system is something which is a must if you really want to keep your fiber cuts, you want to manage them well, and you want to decrease the time. And of course, there are many data collected which do suggest that the time has been decreased by more than 50%. And of course, there are so many aspects of operations, because it is just an introductory overview kind of thing. We'll just touch upon the surface of each of the use case, move on, and probably in subsequent sessions we'll talk in details. So once we have the operations, how can we optimize the operations unless we have an efficient field group? That's another aspect that we just want to talk about. Now, field crew management, for years and years together, it has been a domain in itself, various solutions, various products from all the leading companies have tried to address various aspects of it, right? It could be field crew management, it could be locational proximity, it could simply be handling a large amount of network tickets that you receive from the customers or the faults that you receive from the NMS, how to assign the field crew in a very effective manner. It could be manually, it could be automatically, it could be skill based, it could be location based. There are a whole lot of angles which come in this to actually effectively assign and efficiently close the ticket or efficiently navigate through the entire ticket life cycle from assignment, accept acknowledging, then navigating to the site and closing the ticket. The whole process requires a very efficient system. While there are many systems who have tried to address this, one of the very key aspect that most of the time is missing is integration with the inventory system. That is where I would say that Lepton is very uniquely placed, because as part of the network access product suite, where we do have the system to manage the assets, manage the inventory, and natively integrated field crew management, which basically integrates with the inventory, right? So that your field engineers have a view of the network. They have the view of the updated network. You have the way to assign the tickets, and they have the view of the network to basically find out what's the latest status of that. So that comes around as a very, very potent combination, integration of inventory plus field crew. And that really optimizes the whole work order management and the field crew management. And there are there's enough data gathered which says that this kind of system really is able to improve the efficiency of field engineers by more than almost like 30% or so. So once you have the operations, then obviously the most critical aspect or the most interesting aspect is to be able to encache your network, right? So once you have that, the whole idea is that you should be able to monetize it. When you have your field engineer, or when you have your consumers coming to you asking for a service, asking, it could be as simple as a broadband connection, or it could be as complex as an enterprise customer coming to you asking for connecting one office or the two offices across the two cities in the nation, and asking for, let's say, dark fiber, 6 dark fibers, right? It could be as complex as that. You should have a solid mechanism to do that feasibility in an accurate and very fast manner. I like to give my own example in this whenever I talk about this customer feasibility. When an year ago I shifted to this city, where I am currently, I wanted a broadband connection. I reached out to one of the leading players in the area, right? And I asked them, okay, can you give me a broadband connection? Right? I went to their site and it was telling that the connection availability in your area is 2 Mbps. So I said, who gives 2 Mbps nowadays in the age of Gbps connection? Who gives 2 Mbps? Then I gave a call to their customer support engineer. So he told, no, sir, we have got 1 Gbps connection available in your area. The system is old, or the system is not just showing the right and the most up to date information. Now that is a live example of how having an inaccurate or the old data in your system can cost you a customer. It was very much possible that I could have just, looking at that, I could have switched off and gone to somebody else who had more recent update to give to me saying that 100 Mbps or 1 Gbps is available, right? So that means to do the feasibility, you need a system which is able to give you the accurate results, most up-to-date results, not the data that exists probably 6 months or 1 year later, right? And also it also gives you the ability to to include all the options. Can you give fiber? Can you give microwave? Okay, if you don't have anything, do you have legacy copper? Everything you should be able to incorporate in that feasibility. And of course, ability to do thousands of feasibility, doing bulk feasibility, all those kind of things you should be able to do. So again, Lepton Smart Service Qualification System, it gives you that ability to do the feasibility in an accurate manner. It integrates with the inventory, and the most latest and accurate view of the system it takes and provides the results to your customer care engineer about the feasibility. It enables your engineer, right? And yes, on the impact side, it can drastically reduce the feasibility time. It significantly reduces the survey time, and there is a very direct impact on what kind of monetization you can do of your network. So we talked about encashing. So next one is, of course, the customer relationship management, right? We talked so far about the network side, and then we speak a little bit about the customer side. So when you have the customer care portals, you have, or your own B2C portals, you want to empower the customer to on the map to give the network coverage. Customer should be able to see that, okay, how much is the coverage in their area? Where is the nearest site? Is your area covered with 1 Gbps coverage, or is it covered with 2 Mbps coverage, the example that I gave in the in the previous use case? So your customer should have that they should have that power to actually see your services area. So that is what we can do, and with the concept of open network and a smart locator application as part of network access, we can provide that the view, the service cloud view to your customers, which can be exported to the portal, and that will empower the customers to go on your portal, simply input the address, go to their location and find out what kind of network options, what kind of bandwidth, what kind of services are available. So this greatly increases the chances of customer coming to you with the request, and with the service request, with the new request, and that greatly increases the customer enablement. Having talked about this, right, we now come to overall efficiency gains. How do you, in general, how do you improve the efficiency of your network, of your operations, and how do you gain a more and more accurate view? And there we talk about the digital twins. Now digital twins, as digital twins have been in picture for last several years, particularly with the advent of IoT. They have gained more and more widespread popularity, with the ability to actually track the real-time status of the assets, to be able to check the network status, and add to that the 3D ability to model the 3D buildings, the 3D network. Together it gives you a very realistic snapshot of the network, the status, in the three-dimensional view. So it becomes like a digital twin. How it helps you is, it helps you in doing the very accurate planning, the real-time planning. If you are able to do it in let's say 3D and 360-degree imagery context, you are able to do the planning. You can see that what kind of obstructions are there, what is the right place to plan the location, right? Similarly, in the build or in the operate phase, you can see that if you want to fix a particular network, what is the nearest area where you can include the splicing, what is the area where you can install a new box. So all those kind of things, digital twin gives you a very real-time view of your network, and you add it to further technologies like augmented reality, where you can send your field engineers with those mobile app. They can point their cameras to the underground assets. So these technologies, digital technologies together, give a great view to your planners, to your surveyors, to your field engineers, to overall improve the efficiencies. And then once we have done this, then the next steps that we talk about is the continuous improvement, taking strategic discussions, taking the strategic decisions, my apologies, about your network. How do you do that? So there we talk about a product called Neo 360. So you should be able to take strategic decisions by doing a 360-degree analysis of the network, right? You want to see how various KPIs are performing, what kind of call drops are there, are there any customer feedbacks that are trending on the Twitters, or are there any posts on the LinkedIn? You go to, you go to Twitter on probably all the leading telcos. You will be able to see that day in and day out people are tweeting their complaints, right? So that basically you need to have a system that is able to ingest these, who is able to do the customer sentiment analysis and correlate it against your network topology, against the geography where those complaints are coming in, and give you the ability to take a decision to basically hit the problem at the root cause, fix it. If there is a congestion, if there, a cell site needs capacity enhancements, those kind of things, it should be able to do that. So just to do all those, there is a system called Neo 360. It has the ability to collect to a variety of data sources. It collects with your connects to your OSS systems, collects the KPIs, it connects to your data lakes to collect the big with the big data. It connects to various social media feeds. It can look into call CDRs, the whole lot of KPIs. It correlates them and has the ability to plot that analytics in a special manner, in a time, in a time bound manner, so that you can see what kind of network performance is coming over the time. Are there, particular time of the day where call drops are high, where, where particular area is facing the problem, those kind of things, it helps you. So that, that is analysis. And while I'm speaking, yeah, we are almost towards the end, maybe another few minutes, and I will stop this talk. But please do, if there are questions, please keep sending those questions. Then once you have that, right, of course, the sales and marketing people, they also need a better decision making. They also need to be pinpointed. For that, how do we do that? Increase sales and marketing efficiency. They want to find out what is the best location to basically to plan the new network, to have a new 80 to have a new, let's say, new tower, or to deploy a new splitter, or to altogether a new POP. What's that location, right? So there is a tool we have which is called Smart Market, and based on a variety of demographic data, it could be let's say the population, the age group, the kind of customers, quality of life, income group. It correlates a variety of data, existing network data, then the existing penetration of the network. It ranks them, does an in-depth analytics, and gives you those areas by the priority, by the scoring, that what are the areas that you should be actually planning your network extensions. And there are customers who are doing that, right? And where by planning the extension, you can target the maximum population, the maximum demand points, and the maximum revenue that you can hit. So that you can do by that. So having talked about sales and marketing, some of the other aspects, like how do you overall do the network quality, infrastructure optimizations, particularly of the 5G? Because if we speak about the networks and we don't speak about 5G, because that is something which is now the focus area for most of the telcos across the globe, and to have a very accurate planning, there is a need of having a 3D infrastructure, because the whole of the 5G, because of its intrinsic properties, the way 5G networks work, we don't have to get into that, because they are very sensitive to any kind of obstructions, the kind of distance. So we need a very accurate replica of the whole infrastructure, which should be able to depict the vegetation, the infrastructure, the city infrastructure, right? Using that, various planners tool can plan those 5G network. So for that, Lepton has got offering called RF maps, which gives a very high accuracy level 3D maps, along with the elevation, terrain, and all those kind of DTM clutter data, which can help our partners and customers in doing a very accurate network planning. And once you have that, of course, you also want ability to do the site suitability analysis, that you have the infrastructure, you have the digital replica, but where to plant those sites, what is the best area to do the site where you can have the maximum coverage. So there are a variety of business rules that you can apply using the network access. For example, as I said, some of the demographic as well as some of the network parameters. Where are the network sites? Where are the customers? What kind of elevation is there, right? Can you what kind of backhaul you can give to the site? Where is the nearest fiber point, or where is the nearest microwave points? Based on a variety of parameters, it can help you planning in your site. So that is there. And that while these are the technical parameters, at the same time there has to be the demand parameter which you gather by crowdsourcing. So for that, we come to the next and the last use case. How do you crowdsource for your network planning? You keep getting the network request. You keep getting service requests from different channels. It can be your CRM, it can be your B2C customer care portal, it can be IVR, it can be it can be even some of the other channels that you have. So this system, our smart service qualification, gives you the ability to integrate with all those channels of the feasibility, aggregate them together, plot them specially, so you can see in the in a time bound manner that in last 6 months, what is the area with the highest level of customer feasibility request, and also analyze that which is the area with the maximum customer feasibilities which have been rejected due to lack of network. So those kind of analysis you can do and provision those and provision your new network over there. You can plan the network to make sure that the location that you're planning is the most impactful, right? So with that, what we'll do is, I think we are almost on time, so we come to an end with respect to our talk, right? And we'll see if there are, I do have some questions being directly sent to me, but we'll see if there are some questions. I would like to take them. Gaurav?
Yeah, thank you, Samendra. So as you said, let's move on to the Q&A section. So the first question is, how can you integrate your GIS with AutoCAD?
Yeah, so GIS integrating, that's an interesting question, very pertinent question, because AutoCAD, system like AutoCAD, which has traditionally been a system of choice for most of our telcos and ISPs, it is very important that the system should be able to integrate. So we do have the data uploader tools which are able to upload your legacy data in the AutoCAD format, and you are able to it is able to do the data model mapping, the format mapping, and it can bring in that data into the system. So not only AutoCAD, the variety of other data, it could be KMLs and map info files, shape files, XLS. There is a variety of data that it is able to bring in the tool. So that facility we have got.
Thank you. Thanks, Samir.
Yeah.
Okay.
So there is one question that I have got directly into DM into me. So this question is with respect to Neo 360, that what kind of sources and do you have the ability to connect to the connect to the social media, and do you have the ability to connect to the Twitter feeds? Yes, Neo 360, as I said, that it does have the ability to connect to the social media feeds and variety of other sources, to do the customer sentiment analysis, to do the streaming of events, to do the CDRs, to give different kinds of analytics. Yeah. Gaurav, are there more questions?
Yeah, let me check. Okay, guys, just send your question. Yeah, next question is, what happened to my planning when the map location are not updated? How do I go about such, and how often does Lepton update the Google map?
So I think that's a very good question. So because we the this Google this Lepton solution, it works on top of Google, so it is always updated, and Google keeps updating these very frequently. Those are mostly up to the date. So that is one of the great problem areas that this solution network access this actually solves, because what happens is that in most of the legacy systems which were using offline land base, that was a problem, that land base also has always had to be kept updated by means of surveys, or you had to purchase a new land base every year, every 6 months, particularly in some of the geographies which are and the economies which are which are in growth stage, right? This used to go very obsolete very quickly. So using the using the Lepton's network access, which is on Google Maps, that solution is that problem is resolved. So it is up to date. It is almost most recently. But then at the same time, we also give the option, because some of the there are some countries where Google Maps may not be very accurate. So there we have the option to connect to the government sources, to connect to the private vector data, offline data also. So combination of these two three options ensures that your land base for the planning is always up to date.
Thank you. Thanks, Samir. Next question is, what is the difference between Lepton system and ArcGIS?
So I think, okay, another very pertinent, very important question. So if you see a system like ArcGIS, it is a GIS system. It's a generic GIS system. It will, of course, it will give you the ability, or it just gives you a recipe to make what you want. While Lepton's network access is a GIS-based telecom inventory system, right? It will have everything that you want to model your fiber and your wireless network. While with ArcGIS system, it will give you the raw GIS. It will give you the GIS ability, but it will not give you the ability to model your fiber network, FTTX network, your cores, your ports, your splicing, your connectivity, right? Your rack, shelves, all those kind of entire gamut of telecom centric modeling and the application, creating the bill of materials, splicing, schematics, all those kind of things. Telecom with, yeah, I mean, we don't have to get into that right now. It's a whole domain itself. So all those domain centric network modeling, network applications, that is what have been built as a result of years of product evaluation and hard work that has been done into that. So when you talk about is ArcGIS, ArcGIS is more of a platform, right? On top of that, of course, there are OEMs who have built telecom on top of that. But once again, that makes it like two systems coming together. You have ArcGIS, and then you have a third party who builds the system. While Lepton is a single OEM which brings in the GIS, which brings in the telecom, right? We are the OEMs plus SI. So it's all in a single platform and in a single provider. That's the unique value that we add.
Thank you. Thanks, Samir. Next question is, what has been the experience when connecting to the most BVSS OSS solutions, since they are mostly priority?
Right. So I think, yeah, thank you for this. Another very good and important question. If we see any of the production grade, enterprise grade deployment will have integrations, unless and until it is a very simple isolated ones which are hard to find. Most of those enterprise grade implementation will have a whole lot of a whole lot of integrations with BSS and OSS systems, spanning across the use cases of let's say order to cash, trouble to repair, those kind of things, right? So with respect to experience, of course, there are challenges. There are challenges that you have to address, because what happens is that both the systems, they evolve on their own independently, right? So that means you have to basically map the existing data, because hardly you will find any pure greenfield implementation. There will always be brownfield implementations, right? An NMS system will have the whole data already configured in it, and probably 5 years later the GIS system comes in, right? So the challenge that you face in integrating these kind of system is making sure that your data hierarchy, the data specifications, the data model, and the IDs, those kind of things are mapped, right? So mapping the organization in those two systems which have evolved, making them speak the same language, that is the biggest challenge that you face. But this is something that can be done with a, with a very structured process and mapping process. But apart from that, interfaces, Lepton does have very well defined APIs for integrating with almost all the NMS systems, covering all the OSS and BSS process, which starts from the customer feasibility, the customer service requests, the network creations, the network planning, fault management, fault repair, all those kind of things. We have the APIs, well documented APIs to share. So system interface, putting the interface, having the two systems talking is something that can be done. But of course, the brownfield interface, the brownfield integration, that possesses challenges which have to be handled, of course, by working together. They can be addressed, and they have been addressed. For most of the, most of our customers, they already had some legacy inventory. They always had the NMS systems. They always had the CRM systems. And when a new GIS based passive inventory system has been placed, it has to integrate with them, and we have been able to do for all of them without any exceptions. So yes, there, you asked about experience. So experience has been challenging, but it is something that we have been doing, and we will love to do that. And of course, the APIs are there. Not sure if that was a very long answer to that question.
Thank you, Sumit. Thanks. The next question is, how can Lepton system works with the marketing officers and sales?
Yeah, thank you. Another good question. With sales, very first thing is the feasibility. The feasibility operations with the sales. A sales engineer gets a request, and that becomes, in B2B scenario, that becomes very important, because how many times it happens that your enterprise customer comes for providing, let's say, a leased line, right, or a VPN, or providing a dark fiber between the two cities, and creating a proposal, finding out the right service response to that, creating a proposal. It becomes a matter of weeks. It becomes a matter of weeks with the network team, with the planning team, with the procurement team, with those finance teams. It becomes a whole project in itself before you can revert back to your customer with the right kind of proposal. So if you have the service qualification, right, doing the feasibility, finding out the cost of laying down the network, these things become very automated, right? And you integrate it with the other process chain, it becomes very easy. In the B2C scenario, just the salesperson or even the CRM personals, right, it gives them the ability to see the network feasibility right now dynamically while answering the customer call. That is there, it gives. With respect to the marketing people, right, finding out the best location and publishing the new locations, those kind of things that the smart market system can do for those stakeholders.
Thank you. Thanks, Sumit.
Yeah.
Next question is Lepton GIS is only for telecom?
Okay, brilliant question. Lepton GIS is only for telecom. Answer is both yes and no. This one that we spoke about, this is all for telecom, but at the same time, we also have a customer who is using it for the utility network, for mapping their distribution. My apologies, this power outage. Probably utility customers also need a GIS in India. So my thought process was slightly disturbed. So yes, we do have a customer who is using our system to depict and manage the utility network, distribution network, to manage their transformers, the cables, right, and the distribution system, manage their outage. So that's the advantage of, because that we are the OEMs, we are the SIs. So yes, we do have the utility customers as well. So primarily, just to answer that question, telecom as well as the electric utilities. But at the same time, we can, because it's a concept that works on network for the gas and water utilities. Also in the near future, we are exploring the option to expand it for those domains as well.
Thank you. Thanks, Samir. So on that note, I think we will be ending this presentation. Definitely, I would like to add one thing. People who are requesting for the demo, we will contact them personally. So thanks to everyone. I am pretty sure that a lot of takeaways you guys have received from today's event. And as I have mentioned earlier, we will be sending the recording of the webinar to all of you. Thank you. Thanks again.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you for your valuable time. And we'll again connect with some other topic.